snub season persists for Colorado, and it doesn't feel like the Colorado effect is being felt by the folks that get to vote on these postseason individual awards. I'm going to talk about why that is, starting with the Broyles Award. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, like this video so you don't miss any of the segments that we do here, talking college football 24/7, 365. And we are in awards week, as on Saturday, we're going to crown the individuals for the Thorpe Award, for which Travis Hunter was snubbed. Didn't even get mentioned as a finalist. And I had him rated as a finalist. Biletnikoff Award, for which he is a finalist. But also, wildly, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, is not up for Big 12 Coach of the Year. It's not up for National Coach of the Year, the Eddie Robinson Award. Skunked in that. And now with the Broyles Award, for which I vote, and I will tell you how I voted here in a little bit. Robert Livingston ain't a finalist there, which brings out the very interesting note that not a single coordinator for the 4 finalists invited to New York is represented in the Broyles Award finalist list. The finalists include Pete Kwiatkowski at Texas, who I rated #1. I thought that's the best coordinator that I had to choose from, which I'll talk about why it's to choose from here in a little bit. Bryant Haynes, who's defense coordinator at Indiana. Tim Banks, who's defensive coordinator at Tennessee. Marcus Arroyo, who is the offense coordinator at Arizona State. And Al Golden, who is the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. I got no problem with Al Golden. Pete Kwiatkowski I already mentioned. I think I had Al Golden 3rd on my ballot. But I also had Shannon Dawson on my ballot, who is the offensive coordinator at Miami, and Cam Ward is a Heisman finalist. I also am looking around and I'm going, wait, Dirk Cotter's not here, who is the offensive coordinator at Boise State. Ashton Jeanty, who is going to rush for over 2,500 yards, could probably break Barry Sanders' single-season rushing record of 26-28 in his next outing. They are also one of the 4 teams with first-round buys. Marcus Arroyo's really coming on late because of what Sam Levitt has been able to show, Cam Scattaboo has been able to do, and Jordan Tyson has been great. This is also another way in which I get to point to Dylan Gabriel. Doesn't have his coordinator represented here in Will Stein, because Will Stein wasn't even nominated. Now, to get the Broyles Award, you must be nominated by your head coach. So if a head coach does not nominate a coordinator, we as voters can't vote on him. So it's as if Will Stein does not exist, and I was presented with Tosh Lupoi, and I watched Tosh Lupoi give up 40 to Penn State and give up 31 to Ohio State, same Ohio State that couldn't score more than 10 against Michigan. I can keep going on this one, right? Obviously, Robert Livingston is not represented here, and Travis Hunter is up for and should win the Heisman Trophy. Keep going down the line here. There's been some outstanding play, and there's been some outstanding defensive calls and really schemes from a lot of these folks. But Tim Banks, he's got a great front 7. He has a Thorpe Award finalist. I'm also just kind of not seeing how Tim Banks is one of the 5 best coordinators in the sport, at least not to me, right? So, as I recall, Pete Kwiatkowski at 1, Shannon Dawson at 2, Al Golden at 3, and then I'm trying to remember who I had at 4. It was not I used Bryant Haynes because I thought that Sunseri was the better of the 2 coordinators, and you could also see that. But I'm looking around and I'm asking myself, what would I need to do to not get nominated? And what would I need to do to make this list and to make this list stick out? How would I value these things? Oh, Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles was my 5th, excuse me. So I went, 1 was Pete Kwiatkowski, 2 was Shannon Dawson, 3 was Al Golden, 4 was Jim Knowles, and 5 was Robert Livingston. There's my ballot. I'm doing this off the top of my head because it's over here too, but I just didn't want to reference it because I should know this because these are my votes. There aren't that many, right? There's less than 50 Broyles Award voters, and you vote in 3 different rounds, right? There's the first one where you're just picking from the coordinators that have been nominated, and from that, the list gets whittled to the next round, right? And then you really got to put your nose to the grindstone and make sure that you make the correct choice here based on what you've seen these coaches do, what their units have done. So top scoring defenses and top scoring offenses is a good place to start. Do you have a Heisman finalist at a position? And if you got one at a defensive position, that feels like a no-doubter, right? Back when Chase Young was up for the Heisman, it felt like, yeah, his coordinators were pretty good. Same thing for most of the offensive coordinators. They got Heisman Trophy winners, right? I look at guys like Mike Denbrock last year, who is coordinating the offense at Notre Dame this year. You can keep going down the line on what you want and what you would expect. But also, aside from Travis Hunter in Colorado, Robert Livingston did a really great job. Like, I was skeptical of him coming in because it's a dude that ain't called plays. It's a dude that's coming from the NFL to the college football, which is a different sport. But he had a game plan, and not only have a game plan, he's adapting his scheme and his style to his players, which is the ultimate compliment for any coach. All coaches say out loud, I want a scheme that makes my players great, not a scheme that is great on its own. But that's not usually what they do. What they usually do is coach what they know. So if you know you're 3-3-5, or you know you're 4-3, or you know you're 4-2-5, you're probably going to coach out of that, as opposed to going, okay, what kind of players do I have? What are their strengths, and how do I play to them over and over and over again, while not exposing their weaknesses as often as, say, a scheme that I'm much more comfortable with might do that. Also means you got to evaluate in the transfer portal. Also means that you have to hit with name, image, and likeness. You got to have so many things go your way. And to know that defense was so terrible last year, and that they have been pretty good this year, like I dare say on the bordering of great when they've been playing outstanding football, I think that's enough, right? And if you're a Colorado fan and you're livid about Robert Livingston not being a finalist, I can see that. If you're a Miami fan and you're livid about Shannon Dawson not being a finalist, I could see that too. I mean, Cam Ward's one thing, right? Damian Martinez is another, but Xavier Restrepo has been that guy out there, and they've got guys all over the field, and it really has been a great relationship between those two, because you can see how much Shannon trusts Cam, and you can see how much Cam trusts Shannon. It's also really telling whenever I see what Will Stein has done, because I think that dude is a rising star in this sport. He could be a head coach anytime he wants. I think he's in a good spot. I think that he's more or less doing what Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart had done at Georgia. Let me wait for the job that I want to open, and then we'll see. But also, perhaps you're not campaigning for your guy to get out of there by giving him Broyles Award, because Broyles Award is also how guys get jobs. I remember when Josh Gaddis won this award, and I'm going, how? But as I get a vote and as I get to understand the process, I have much more appreciation for how this gets done, and really trying to make the best decision that affects the history of the sport and the future of the sport. And it really does, because college football is subjective. It is about your opinion, and has been for some time. Heisman voters, it's an opinion, right? Broyles Award, it's an opinion. And whoever thinks the most of this probably ends up winning the award, but you can have oversights, right? So 2020, there's the question of whether or not Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence is the first-team All-American at quarterback. Well, it needed to be Trevor Lawrence. And the reason that it did is because Trevor Lawrence had not been a first-team All-American in any other year, just because of the other quarterbacks he played alongside, not because he didn't deserve the recognition. But if he had not been a first-team All-American, he's ineligible for the College Football Hall of Fame, which would have been ridiculous. That is a dude that led Clemson to a 15-0 season, a national championship as a true freshman. That in and of itself puts you into the history books in this day and age. And I'm glad that the Football Writers Association saw that and made the right decision. I think that's how I view looking at these awards. It's why I'm going, don't be stupid about Travis Hunter and what he's done, because history will not like look back on this and say good things. Like, of these guys, Travis Hunter actually has the best shot of getting an award named after him, like Doak Walker, like Paul Hornung, like Nagurski, like Bronco Nagurski, like Chuck Bednarik, all down the line, Jim Thorpe. And what he's done, we haven't seen before. Honor that. Honor that. That's not to say that Ashton Jeanty can't win it in any other year. He just happened to be playing in the same season that Travis Hunter has gone off. And they're helped by not having a quarterback that's thrown for 50 touchdowns this year, right? When Joe Burrow went for 60-6, I'm still trying to tell people I think Chase Young's the best player in the country. I was loudly shouted down, right? It's an opinion thing. So I look at this and I go, all right, the finalist list means more to me than actually who wins the award, because that means that everybody on that list is good. This has not necessarily been the case for me, not this time around. I think Robert Livingston was 5th on my list, means he's probably not going to win it, but I was going to recognize him as a finalist for me. Same thing with Shannon Dawson. I don't think that the best coordinator at Indiana got nominated, and I would have loved to have seen Will Stein get nominated and see who I would have had to make a business decision with, whether it be Al Golden, or it probably wouldn't have been Pete Kwiatkowski. Maybe it'd have been Jim Knowles, right? Al Golden, Jim Knowles, Will Stein. All 3 of those guys would have been pretty good for me given what they've done. It's just, for whatever reason, other voters did not agree with me, and we get this list as it is. So I want to talk about this one. I realized that we've been doing a lot of Colorado snub this week, but if you're paying attention, I'm really trying to point out what I think are the inconsistencies and inaccuracies in the sport and things that we can change, things that we can get better at, because I love college football, and I want it to be great. And while nothing can be perfect, doesn't mean I can stop trying to make it so.